What's going on, everybody? Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else, and what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and feature titan today, Natalie Davis. Natalie.
Hello.
Thanks so much.
I am excited to be here. You have no idea.
Oh gosh, it's an honor. I know there's tons of anticipation.
The honor's mine.
No, come on. This is great because there's so much knowledge and information, and your reputation in the community is out of this world. So I can't wait for other people to really dive in deeper, get to know you amongst your sphere. So let's just start with telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, wonderful. Well, I'm Natalie Davis. I am the owner of Pink Realty Parker and also a small team in Northern Colorado, Pink Realty NoCo. My story is a little bit different, actually. I'm an immigrant to the country.
Yeah.
So at the age of 3, I moved to the U.S. I was actually born in Jamaica.
Cool.
So I grew up in Texas and spent the majority of my life in Texas. I went to college at Baylor University in Waco, Sikkim Bears, before making my way to Colorado. So my story is a little bit different because I approach life a little bit differently, not being born here. My children are the first generation that are born here. So life looks a little bit different for me. Growing up looked a little bit different for me, and probably not the norm for, U.S. born folks, but
I love that. And I know that people are watching or listening, they'd love that too, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of how I got to Colorado. I got into real estate in 2011 in Northern Colorado. I started with the group in Northern Colorado, and I sold from 2011 to 2017 before transferring down to the Denver metro area. So I've been in the Denver metro area since 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and I love that progression and story, obviously, coming to the United States at a young age and then going through and then making adjustments from, Texas, Colorado.
Yeah.
Why real estate though, Natalie? I mean, in 2011, why? I mean, there's so many different opportunities and businesses and things. What was it for you that got you excited?
Yeah, the market in 2011, we all know.
Yeah, sure.
So I got a lot of strange looks, right? When I said, oh yeah, I'm getting into real estate in 2011.
Strange looks.
Right,
What's
exactly.
wrong with people?
What's wrong with you? Is what people are like, what are you thinking? For me, my parents actually started investing in real estate. So even though they weren't born here, my parents really understood the power behind investing in real estate and being able to build a legacy through that. I got to grow up behind the scenes, so I've laid a lot of tile, I've replaced windows, I've replaced locks, I've painted more than you could ever imagine. So I had that experience with real estate. It probably didn't leave the best taste in my mouth, but nonetheless it gave me a taste of real estate. And after moving to Fort Collins and going through the home search myself, I was actually working with a fabulous realtor in Fort Collins, and he and I were chatting as I was going through the home search process, and he said, you know what, you would do great in this industry. You should think about getting your license. And he said that. A couple of other people told me the same thing, and then I'm a firm believer of if I keep getting the same message, eventually I start to listen. So after hearing it over and over again, I said, you know what, let me get into it. So I started my journey into real estate just because I wanted to do the investment side. So I wanted to get in and do the rehabbing, the fix and flips, and being able to help families, especially in 2011, families that weren't able to help themselves. And now it's turned into me just loving everything about the industry. So
Unreal. What a cool story and background. And I find that there's so many professionals and other featured titans on the series that it's not necessarily your immediate dream job that when you were a little kid you're thinking, oh, someday I'm going to be a real estate titan in the mobile and doing all these things. And it's just enough people and enough encouragement and opportunity, obviously with your family background too. Just what a great opportunity, and you took the leap of faith and look where you are now. Right. So it's fantastic. So just a little bit about Pink. I do want to go into that. So why Pink and to where you're at right now in this beautiful office that we're in right now too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Our office is coming along. We're actually here in our Parker office. It's amazing. I love it. 2 years ago, I started down a leadership track to explore opening a franchise, and I knew that I wanted to open a brokerage, and just started feeding myself, and doing some research and getting out there and visiting with people that had opened large brokerages, boutique brokerages, you name it, and just chatting with them. And Inman actually released an article on Monica and the Pink brand, and announced that they were doing a franchise. And I said, you know what, that's in my backyard. Let me reach out to her. I'd never heard of Pink. I'd never heard of Monica.
Get out of here.
So I reached out to the franchise manager and I said, tell me about the company. What are you guys doing? What's the franchise opportunity? All of that. And we had a great meeting. We had a secondary meeting. And in the secondary meeting, I said, you know what? I want to meet with Monica. I want to figure out what is her vision, what drives her, what gets her up during, for the day and things like that. For sure. So Monica and I actually connected, and we had a fabulous dinner. She came here to Denver. We had a fabulous dinner. It was a couple of hours, and we were in complete alignment with just our outlook on life, what she wanted as far as business, as far as growth, helping people. She has, if you haven't met Monica Breckenridge, she's got a tremendous heart. And to have a business leader and franchise owner that has such a tremendous heart just really spoke to me and resonated with me, because that's what I wanted for whatever brokerage I decided to move forward with. So walked away from that meeting and it was no brainer. I said, done, that's it, that's going to have to happen. Yeah, so here I am. Yeah, almost a year later. It will be a year in 2 months.
Unbelievable. And congratulations. That's super great news all the way through and through. And a big shout out to a fellow Titan, Monica Breckenridge. She's amazing.
She is.
And if you haven't seen her episode, catch that, because it's on there for sure. But okay, so transitioning from your past and what brought you here into where you are right now with Pink.
Yeah.
I really, really like to segue with this next question, and it gives everybody a little bit deeper window into who you are and essentially why you do what you do. So this is the why question. If you could really sum it up, what gets you excited, what gets you out of bed in the morning to do what you do to the level you do it at, what's that look like?
Had you asked me that question 5 years ago, it would be a different answer. Getting into the business in 2011, obviously this was the means to building a legacy for my children, right? It's so they can see more, experience more, have better opportunities, right? And not that there's anything wrong with that. And that was my why for quite a while. A few years ago, I realized that it was bigger than that. And it was, I think it's twofold. One, just in a little bit of my own search and journey. But my oldest daughter graduated high school, and you're doing your everyday, and it's because you want, again, to provide more for your kids. Well, she actually sold everything and moved to Southeast Asia with everything that fit in a backpack. And it was that was a light switch for me. It was, okay, well, maybe that's not my why. It's me projecting because it's a safe and easy why that's what I've come up with. And if anyone, your kids are your why, great. Don't change
no
it.
Disrespect.
Exactly. For me, it was a little bit different because I realized I was getting up every day doing all of these things for them, thinking that's what I was doing it for. But it was just easy and it was safe, and I had to dig a little bit deeper. So for the last couple of years, I realized for me, it's making a difference in as many lives as I can, right? And included in that are my girls. But making a difference in as many lives. I absolutely love pouring into other people. I love being able to have some sort of impact on just other people's lives. If I can do that on a daily basis, I feel like I've had a successful day. So that's really my why, is just having that greater impact just across the board.
I love that. And I think that as you're transitioning in most people's lives, their why extending past themselves and their immediate family, I think is a beautiful way to healthily grow everything that's going. When you're talking about really pouring into others, I can see that. Hopefully you guys are feeling this energy or hearing this energy, because it's amazing. It's so warm and inviting and real and genuine. And I know that your clients, your friends and family, they feel that, they go through that, but also your extended family, which is your people, right? Here in the office.
Exactly.
So I think that that's just such a beautiful representation and why,
Absolutely. And I'm blessed to have that opportunity, because not only is it my family here, my Pink family, the agents that are here, the staff that's here, The clients, like you mentioned, friends, family, obviously, those are the easy ones.
Right.
I have the opportunity to travel quite a bit and speak in front of other groups. So,
Love it.
if I'm in a group of 30 people or in front of 200 people and I feel that I've touched one life out of that group, I feel like it's a success, right? I don't need to touch all 200 or all people that are in that session, but that's what keeps me going. That really fills my tank. I love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, your tank's going to be really full after this. I'm telling you, everybody is eating this up. The energy is amazing. So I do want to go into the next particular question, and this one is actually a crowd pleaser because everybody wants to know what the Titans are doing or have done to grow their business, to really scale. So, Natalie, if you could look back at your business thus far, pick or choose one or two things that really took it from one level to the next for you. What's that look like for you?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I started at the group in 2011. I was really fortunate to start at the group, a fabulous organization up in northern Colorado. With that, I was able to take Ninja installation, and a lot of the Titans have taken Ninja installation.
Yes.
So I was able to take Ninja installation for the first time in 2012, and absolutely transformational. There were days that I was in tears. Absolutely moved me and kind of shook my world as far as just personally how I looked at myself as a person, just making an impact or not, or just floating through. At the time, I think I was just floating through.
Sure, as most of us do.
Right,
truly.
Right. So really eye-opening for me going through the installation, and I have to say, taking my business to the next level was taking the installation again. So taking it a second time was huge. Yeah. The first time going through the installation, I had many ahas on the mindset piece of the installation. So I had a lot of shift as far as mindset is concerned, a tremendous amount. Sometimes even painful, just as far as shift was concerned. But going through it the second time, I was able to take the business piece and really apply the skill set and the action to my business and really build a solid foundation after getting over the hump of the mindset, because I didn't realize how much I had to work through until going through that first installation. So for me, number one was going through installation a second time. Something that I realized probably, I would say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, is to stop doing the things that I don't enjoy. Wow. So it's not what did I add, it's what I pulled out of my business.
Equally, if not more important.
Yeah. So one of my biggest obstacles, I think, getting into the business is that I wasn't from Colorado. So I got into real estate and I didn't have a database, I didn't have a sphere or a group of people that I could, turn to as far as business is concerned, or even having them refer me. So I built my business based on open houses, and I was an open house queen, and that's how I built my entire database. That's how I built a referral-based business, just developing relationships with people that I met through open house. And I love that. There are some agents, and again, if you're doing it and you love it, keep doing it. Some agents that do door knocking or they do farming. I would rather not.
Sure.
But
being honest here, right? I mean, if you could pick and choose.
Exactly. But it took some time, right? I thought you hear these successful agents that are doing things. They're like, oh, you just need to go and door knock, 2 neighborhoods, and you'll be great. And I started down that path, and I was like, okay, I'll door knock. And every time I got in the car, and I got out with the flyers, and I thought, I absolutely hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. So I stopped because the energy that I had, the intentions that I had behind it were not. You wouldn't want to work with me, right? Because why would you want to work with someone that is pretending to do something that they're interested in doing or feel it would be beneficial to their business? So instead, I really focused my attention on the key things, my sphere that was growing, the open houses that I conducted, and just staying connected to the community and being involved in the community. So plugging into the areas that I enjoyed and pulling away from the ones that just drove me crazy.
But that's so refreshing to hear, because there's so many people that say, and it's that old adage, get out of your comfort zone. And there's no growth in comfort zones. But that's not to say that you just do every single thing that makes you uncomfortable.
Exactly.
You have to
Exactly.
pick and choose, and
Yeah.
you were humble and intelligent enough to recognize those things
Right.
and be honest with yourself, and then go for it and see the
Right.
results that are there. I love the fact that you had mentioned mindset, because I think
Yes.
that's crucial. Talking about Ninja installation, phenomenal programs, like you said,
Right.
several Titans have been through and
Right.
continue to go through, but taking it additionally. It's not you do one time, you're done, and you're good to go. You should always be learning and relearning.
Absolutely.
I love that message that you're giving to everybody, being involved in the community and then recognizing what you like, but then what you don't like. That was all beautiful.
Right.
Hopefully everybody's writing this down, because this is awesome info. I can't stress enough. This is so priceless.
Thank you.
But I do want to segue into the next particular question, and this is where it gets a little tricky.
Okay.
This is the challenge.
Okay.
So I was like, what are we getting
I
into? So everybody deals with challenges in their life. No
Right.
one's exempt. That's in the past, now, or into the future. We all have struggle or hardships and things that we go through, but I'm a firm believer it's not so much what happens, but how we respond. And not to downplay pain or what's going through, but I think that the learning experience is what everybody can really gain and go through. So
Right.
if you're comfortable sharing a challenge you dealt with, you overcame, what's that look like for you?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, your challenge, your struggle, it becomes your story, right? And
Yeah.
I have to confess, I think for a large majority of my adult life, I had kind of that story envy, right? You hear all of I hit rock bottom, I couldn't do anything, and I didn't have any of those things, and I thought, well, I don't know, I just go through life. It's just what life brings me, and I go through it. So I touched on it a little bit before. For me, on the professional side, it was really building a real estate business from absolutely nothing.
Right.
That's huge. For me, it was huge to be able to reestablish or just establish myself. And coming down to the Denver metro area, it's reestablished myself. So for me, I spent a great deal of time building my sphere in northern Colorado, and then having to relocate to the Denver metro area 2 years ago. I had that, okay, you've done it before, you can do it again, right? So that's kind of where I am now. So I'm living through this one, so I'll have to let you know how it pans out.
Oh, no. Yeah. I'm sure it'll be great. It'll be perfect. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, perfect.
I think that you're talking about a huge challenge that so many different professionals live through and work with is starting from scratch. And any business venture, any entrepreneur can feel that, but in real estate especially, going from the northern Colorado to Denver, it's a different world. You might as well be in a different state or a different country.
Absolutely.
You're truly starting from scratch. But what I like, and a lot of people hopefully you're taking away from this, is when you're breaking down the whole story of starting from scratch, you're still a professional.
Correct.
And you have your knowledge. No one can take your knowledge, your name, your reputation away.
Right.
It's just shifted somewhere else.
Correct.
And I love that you're a living, breathing article of that. Don't let that stop you.
Exactly.
Right? That's huge.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. It's not easy to
absolutely.
kind of, be vulnerable for everybody. It's not the easiest thing. So
I know. Thank you.
we appreciate it all day long. So I want to shift a little softer. This is actually my favorite question.
Okay.
This is the travel back in time. So if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice to any age range, what would you say to young Natalie?
So to my younger self, dear younger Natalie. I think my one piece of advice would be to do the things that you enjoy and that you're passionate about. Not the things that society tells you are the next steps, or even that family members tell you that are the next steps. That was a big piece for me, and I think, and this might even tie back into the challenge question that we just spoke about. In 2007, my mom passed away, and that was a tough time for me, just going through that. But then almost 7 years to the day, my dad passed away, and I'm not sure if anyone's experienced the loss of both parents, but losing both parents definitely changes, for me, I'll just speak in first person. For me, it changes my perspective on how I looked at life. It also was a great realization for me that I was actually living out their purpose for me, not necessarily my purpose for myself. So, as an adult, and you think I'm an independent adult, I'm making decisions on my own, I have my own family, in reality, I was still checking the box that my parents had subconsciously or consciously outlined for myself, for me in my life, and what that should look like. When my dad passed away, it was like a light switch. I realized, okay, well, who am I doing things for now? What is the purpose for me being here? So, that was huge in me realizing I was taking next steps based off of their checklist or their expectations, and you can plug in whatever family member, friend, what have you.
Right.
We all have those people in our lives, right?
For sure.
With good intention, but it wasn't what made me happy. So for me, I think if I could go back and say, you know what, find the things that bring you joy, find the things that you're passionate about, and run with it. I think it would make a huge difference. Not that I would change anything. I'm pleased with where I am, and, yeah, and where life has brought me. But if I could go back and tell her, the younger Natalie, that's what I would tell her.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that, Natalie. Yeah. And that's such genuine and real advice for everybody who's watching or listening to this, and myself included. You're looking at it and setting those expectations for yourself, and don't have that heavy level of influence from others. Take advice and listen, and that's okay. But do what makes you happy. Do what you're passionate about. I think that ties back into some of the advice that you were giving everybody who's watching or listening, and that is knowing what makes you happy and what doesn't, and that's so crucial for personal life, for business.
100%.
Gosh, that's amazing. I mean, this is super good, everybody. Come on, oh, you're absorbing this, and put pause, rewind it, whatever you need to do. Listen to that over and over. I mean, that's huge. So that's great advice.
Thank you.
Let's. I want to go into the next particular one, and this is actually, when you do the stats and break it down, this is actually another favorite for the crowd who's tuning in and watching this particular series. It's the feeding of the mind question. So a lot of newer or seasoned professionals, they want to know what the Titans are doing to grow their mind. So I always lead into it with books you're reading or read, podcasts you're listening to, influencers, social media coaches. How are you feeding your mind?
Yeah, that's a big one for me. I try to feed myself with something new every day. Ideally something positive every day.
That matters.
Yes.
Positivity.
Exactly. Yeah, you can feed yourself with crap. That doesn't help.
That is so
don't do
true.
that.
Don't. Listen to Natalie.
So currently I'm reading Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Cool.
That's a good one. I just started. I haven't finished the book, but so far I'm just captivated by that one. It's a good one. A book that I read at least once a year is The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents by Hal Elrod.
So cool.
That was probably the one book that in all of my transformations just absolutely transformed the way I look at my morning and my day, how I approach my mornings and my day. So it takes you through 6 things that you should implement in your morning routine. I teach workshops on this all the time.
Awesome.
So yeah, if you ever want tidbits on that, or just 45 minutes or 90 minutes, I can do that for you.
I'm there. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I don't know about you guys.
So that's one that I read every year. I actually challenged myself this year with a group that hadn't read the book before, with an accountability group. So we started 2 weeks before the end of 2018 and rolled into 2019, and we did a weekly check-in on Wednesday mornings at 5:30 to hold each other accountable. It was just a reset for me. I've read the book 4, 5, 6 times now. I've read every version that has been written for entrepreneurs, for real estate agents, the regular version, just the Miracle Morning, and you get into certain habits, and you start to tweak your habits. Unknowingly, you go back to your old ways, and it's little small incremental changes, right? It's, I'll get to the exercise portion of my day later instead of doing it first thing in the morning. Or Hal points out where it's vital to just incorporate that into your morning routine. So you make these small changes, and before you know it, you're making these small changes, and then you're completely out of the habit that you originally programmed yourself to pick back up. So in January, I went through with a small group, and we met Wednesday mornings, 5:30, just to hold each other accountable to make sure that we were still doing it. So that's my go-to. It's probably the one book that I give out the most. I'm pretty sure I've given out like 30 or 40 copies of the book.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Call me if you want one. I've got them in the office. Another book that I always reference, or 2 books that I have on my desk, they're sitting on my desk, my go-to all the time, is The Ninja Selling Book by Larry Kendall. I reference that at least once a week, if not more. I pull that off. Monica Breckenridge, also a Titan,
Yes.
is a big believer in The Secret. The Answer by John Ashraf. I also keep that on my desk, The Answer, because that focuses a lot on like your affirmations and how you're focusing on those things. So those are the two that I keep on my desk. I try to read something new every month.
Okay.
So a challenge I had for myself for 2019 is to read at least one book a month. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when your schedule's full, it's a lot.
It is. Carving that time out.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, so those are huge for books. Podcasts.
Yeah. So Real Estate Titans, of course.
Oh gosh, thank you, Natalie. I appreciate it. Thank you for the shout.
Exactly. No, really. In the mornings, that's my go-to. 30 to 45 minutes is what you keep them all, with the exception of yours.
Yes. Sorry, everybody. I had 2 more questions.
But that's my go-to in the mornings. The Ziegler, I like to listen to. The School of Greatness, Lewis Howell, I think, is another. And then, oh gosh, now I'm going blank on Oprah's Super Soul podcast. Yes, yeah, those are kind of my go-to. Yeah.
Okay. And those are, I mean, that's all such beautiful and diverse perspectives and different information that you're constantly feeding yourself.
Absolutely.
I love the fact that you had mentioned rereading. And again, going back to what you're talking about with the Ninja installation, going back and rereading certain things, because you're in a certain place in your life right now. You read something, you listen to something, and then 2 years, 5 years, 10 years later, you reread it. You're in a different evolution in your life, in your thought process. You pick and choose a few things that really stick out. So I love that particular piece. Obviously, continually educate and grow and go through, but reread and re-listen and re-educate. I love it. I'm going to have everything in the comments down below so you can feed your mind and follow just like Natalie does. Natalie, this has been chock full of awesome information. This is so amazing. I know everybody's going to love this. I want to wrap everything up with a final question. This one ends up being the quote or mantra that you live by, something that sums you up as a person, a professional. What's that look like for Natalie Davis?
So it's more of a mantra. It's Picasso. It's actually the meaning of life is to find your gifts, and the purpose of life is to give them away. I think that that's how I live, just in realizing now that it fills me to fill other people. It's a gift that I have. I love speaking. I love teaching. I love coaching. And I will continue to offer that and do that. Not just for agents here. I connect with agents that are in other brokerages. It doesn't matter, as long as I'm helping someone and feeding them. So yeah, that's probably what I wake up every day, think about, and if I can check that off, then I'm good to go.
I love it. I love this episode, everybody. Yes, I mean, Natalie, this has been amazing. Honor once again to have you. You're an official real estate titan. Absolutely, 110%. As always, thank you so much for your time and attention, everybody. Your love and support. If you like what we're doing here with Real Estate Titans, do not forget to like the Facebook page, subscribe to YouTube. Also have a listen on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.
Bye.